Welcome back to What Would You Ask podcast. You guys know about The Amazing Race. Everybody knows about The Amazing Race, the multi-Emmy award-winning reality series where you got the teams and they embark on these journeys and treks around the world. And, you know, you got to keep up or you're going to get kicked out. And every destination, each team has to complete all these challenges, and they're physical and they're mental and they're certainly emotional. And then, you know, there's one team, you know, ends up in Zimbabwe, and they win Amazing Race and a ton of cash, and it's all in singles, which I don't get. But anyway, my guest today was a member of season 30 of Amazing Race, and she and her friend Sarah did the best they could in the competition. Friends for 20 years and business partners. And I think back at friends I have for 20 years, and they think these two people fought. Oh my God, I can't even imagine being with one of my friends traveling around reading maps and going, get that. We wouldn't go anywhere. We'd still be in New York. And they are also responsible really for the point of origin, I think I heard it called one time, of the goat yoga trend. So we're going to have April talk about that in a second too. From my personal opinion, this is a risk taker, an adventurer, a water skier, a trapezist. I don't know if that's even a word, trapezist, a ninja warrior. I mean, this lady and her family, they live their life to the fullest. And I was just chatting briefly with April saying, I thought I had it made, you know, living in New York City and having fun up there. And trust me, folks, this is living life. I saw her with a snake around her neck. And then I saw Ozzy Osbourne in a pit. It's like, what in the, anyway. Deer in the house. It goes on and on. I could just talk about that for the whole time. And what's important most to her is quite obvious through all the stuff that I looked at. She is definitely a proud wife and mom of 3. And I am excited to welcome to What Would You Ask podcast, April Gould. Hi, April.
Hi. Thank you for that intro. That's very nice.
Yeah, the show's over now. It took so long. I mean, geez. So anyway, let's talk before we get into our quick hitters questions sent in from our members. I just want to touch on some of that. I mean, really, really interesting. I look at a lot of different stuff. We've done a few different series. We did the Big Break Golf series. We've done, and we're actively still working on the Survivor Series. We're actually doing the same thing with Amazing Race. So you get a lot of these bios and profiles of the people that come on, and I've never had so diverse stuff. I mean, just all over the place. And it's, first of all, being surrounded by animals. Obviously, you're an animal lover, right? Fair enough there.
Yes.
But then you got this whole athletic thing. I mean, you're running into a wall and running up the wall like Spider-Man and flipping over, and then you're doing, I mean, tell us a little bit about how that happened, like got into all of that stuff, if you could.
Well, thank you, Nick. I am pretty much a random person. You know, I just kind of see something and I think that looks fun. So I try to do it. You know, I try to stay pretty well-rounded and in the things I like to do. I do like to do athletic stuff and stay busy and play with my kids, and that's what really keeps me motivated to go on.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to hear all about it. We're excited that you're here, and we will jump right into the quick hitter questions. Billy from Atlanta, Georgia asked, when did you first meet the other contestants, and was it awkward at first?
Hey, Billy. Well, the first time we kind of informally met, we were sizing each other up a little bit in the hotel, but we didn't know who anyone was. So Sarah and I were kind of guessing. We knew like the twins were twins, and we thought we had no idea who the eaters were. We were thinking they were like wrestlers or something. So we were just kind of like sizing people up and kind of saying like, oh yeah, we got them. They're obviously basketball players, you know, things like that. They're obviously models, right. Things like that. So we're kind of sizing them up a little bit. But we actually had no idea who anyone was until we were right there at the starting line because we were not allowed to talk to anyone. So as we were running in New York, everyone was saying, Jess and Cody, and these kids were saying it. So I thought they were like Disney characters, like they Disney shows or something. So I honestly had no idea until Phil announced all of us.
That's awesome. Stephen from Danbury, Connecticut says, I've heard the sound and camera team that travel with you, you have to accommodate for their travels. How much does a production slow down your ability to perform the show?
Well, they're actually very fast. So as far as like running around, they keep up very well. But the only times that we really need to stop is if we ask someone a question, then we have to do have them sign the release and whatnot. So that would be pretty much the only time that I would say that we kind of have to slow down. But other than that, they're trucking right ahead of us. They're really fast. They don't really slow us down at all.
Sarah from Bar Harbor, Maine asks, what's your relationship with Sarah, with an H, like today?
Hey, Sarah. Sarah and I get along great now. I know, surprise, surprise, it was kind of hit and miss there for a little while, but we get along. We're back to being really good friends. We work very well as business partners in Goat Yoga, and I talk to Sarah all the time, and we get along very well. Richie, I know, right?
That's fine. Richie from Tom River, New Jersey asks, what was the weirdest thing you saw while on Amazing Race? I don't know how he defines weirdest, but that's up to you to define that.
Weirdest thing I saw. Gosh, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what he totally means by that, but the neatest thing that I saw was just how everything was run as a production, seeing the camera guy and sound guy just running after you. But I don't know how to answer like what was the weirdest thing
I don't know how to answer that. Let's try Mike from Brooklyn. Mike from Brooklyn asks, what 3 things would you recommend anyone from doing Amazing Race take with them on their journey?
Well, pack very light. I mean, Sarah and I, every ounce counts. So, I mean, we would have little tiny we would have like sunscreen and dump most of it out in the toilet and just save like this much because every single ounce counts. So you have to pack really, really light. And Sarah and I left, we had 2 pairs of clothes. We stripped everything down. So there's really much you can't, you try to leave behind. I guess I'd say passport.
Yeah, right.
But the most important things are just necessities, just things you have to have. A compass, the calculator really came in handy, a mirror, like random things that you think you might be able to use in different tasks. Because I know we actually used our calculator while we were calculating diamonds. So I was glad to have that. Was
there anything you weren't allowed to take?
Yeah, there's a lot we can't take. Yeah. In fact, when you first get there, you have everything packed up perfectly, and they take your whole bag and they dump it all out. Sorry, if I'm ringing.
That's all right.
Just 1 second.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So they take everything out, they just dump it on a table. So all these things that were rolled up tight and packed perfectly, just dumped out. And they're just like, can't take this, can't take this, can't take this. So obviously things like phones and GPS and things like that you can't take. They basically strip you down, so there's a lot you can't take.
I was interviewing someone, and I can't remember what season or even who said this, but they said that I am not a regular smoker, but when I get nervous, I like to have a cigarette. And I said, really? That's interesting, because I don't even know people that smoke anymore. It's like, but anyway, he said, yeah, and all I wanted to take was 3 cigarettes and they didn't let, that was.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah. You can't even if you want to take Advil or anything, everything has to be in the sealed container. Right. They're very strict on what you can and cannot take.
We are going to work the quick hitter questions as we go through the journey with April. So you'll still have the opportunity to hear your questions asked. Quick programming note: if you'd like your questions to be asked on the show, head to our website at whatwouldyoutask.com. Is our website, geez, and get all the details. And you can also find us on all the social media channels, the ones my kids know and I don't know, Twitter and Instagram, and I was going to say face chat, but I won't screw it up on purpose. I know that. And it's everything is What Would You Ask? So just find it there and find us and send them in, and we'll go from there. So let's talk about the journey a little bit. Pamela from Naples wants to know what motivated you to apply, and what was the process like?
Well, Sarah and I, you all know, we've been friends forever, and we have this business, and we just thought it'd be a lot of fun because in reality shows, it seems like you have to be kind of quirky in some way. So we're totally quirky. So I was kind of like, let's just apply. It was just a fun thing, and we hadn't heard for probably about a year. So we had completely forgot about it. We just assumed that, we didn't get picked until they called us. So we were pretty surprised.
So are you doing video? Is it a video you submit? Is it the life in the day? What do you put included in the video?
Yes. So you have to do the online, written application, but then, you do submit a video and just kind of make it as weird as you can, because there's so many normal people that apply for these shows, right? So we just kind of told about ourselves, obviously the goats and the goat yoga played a huge part into it, but Sarah's also very diverse. Also, she does parkour and a whole bunch of different kind of things. So between the two of us, we were able to make a really weird video. You just have to stand out, basically.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Is there keys to being selected, things you would recommend people do? But that's probably it, right? What you're saying is things that make you stand out, maybe things are a little unique, a little quirky. I think you answered that well. That's the key there. Mike from Brooklyn, New York wants to know, is there any way to prepare for Amazing Race with all the physical and mental challenges?
I don't know. I watched every single season. I had a notebook. I was taking notes of every single thing. I was like, learn flags. I learned every single flag. I learned every single knot. I learned every single thing that you would need to know for each challenge, if that makes sense. And I still wasn't prepared. So you just don't know what will get thrown at you, honestly. But I would say I'm glad I still prepared as far as like knowing my flags, knowing, some world history and things like that. Even though it didn't necessarily help me for my challenges, it's used quite a bit.
Got it. Mike from Phoenix, Arizona asked, what did they tell you where you were going and what the weather is like and what type of clothes you should pack?
Nothing. Not at all. Seriously, the things you see is what you see. Like, there's really not any TV magic to it at all, which I thought there was, honestly. I was kind of, when I watch the show, sometimes it seems pretty obvious when all of a sudden there's this guy who knows exactly where to go. And so I kind of thought, okay, so there'll kind of be this guy planted there who will know where to go. No, it's all real. And I don't know. I totally am straying away from your question.
No, that's all right. One of the things one of the racers said to me when I was interviewing him, it was one of the early season. He said, it was interesting in the preparation question I asked before. He said, make sure you practice reading things 2 or 3 times.
Yes.
Because it's so critical that you get every detail and comprehend exactly what they're saying. Because if you don't, it can go sideways. So it's interesting.
And that is a very good point. And also in the preparedness, I tried really hard to learn to read maps. I did a lot of like geocaching type thing, like learning like north, south, east, west, and all those kind of directional things. Obviously that didn't help me much in Iceland. I wasn't used to that type of language, but yeah, that's a really good thing to prepare for. And like he said, like reading things very carefully.
Just a reminder, my guest is Ashley Gould from season. Oh, I did it.
All good.
April Gould. I'm sorry, April, from
That's
season
okay.
30 of Amazing Race. I was telling April before this, I know an Ashley Gould. And when I said that, I realized I'm going to call her Ashley. And I told her if I do, like I just did, to let me know. So I apologize, April.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
Amazing Race season 30. Her and Sarah tore it up throughout the world. Just let me ask you a question about that. Is there anywhere that you were, this is a Nick Marola question, by the way, that you put a mental note in the back of the head? I know what a family means to you and to me, right? I would be thinking, I have to bring my family back here. Did you see any places like that you were just going, this is somewhere I really want to be? Spend more time here doing other things besides running a race.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Belgium. It's just beautiful, the scenery and everything. Iceland was gorgeous, but I think I went around the entire island, so I'm good with that. But Belgium was really pretty. You could tell there's a lot more to see and experience there.
That's funny. My wife and I, when we got married, we rented a Jeep. We packed a big lunch. We went to, where did we go? Aruba. And we thought we were going to go out and do this whole, big tour of the island. And we staying at this all-inclusive resort, and we drove around, and my wife says, do they have another resort that looks just like 45 minutes later? We had gone all the way around the island. That was it. We didn't unpack anything. We didn't stop anywhere yet. We were just driving around, and we just drove back to our resort. And it was like, okay, we've seen but it was awesome. But anyway.
Pretty much what it was. Sarah and I drove the entire island. There's only one highway, and we drove it. So I think I'm good there.
Let's talk about now you're on the show. You said you were sizing up some of the people. Do they tell us a little bit about the small details? Do you get money for food? I remember that being something, and then you pay for your food as you go. How does that work? And I want to hear about that a little bit.
Yeah, and each card you're given some money, and you don't know how much it is. Like sometimes you're given $100, and then the next leg you're given $5. So you don't know how much you should really save for other things, for taxis and whatnot. Right. Honestly, you don't eat.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
We don't stop. We didn't stop to eat, drink, or go to the bathroom. And I don't think any other racer really did either. There's just no time for it. We eat. Obviously, do those things between legs. They put you in a hotel after each leg, but during the race, no, we don't do that.
Now, is that the pit stops that we're talking about? And how long do they usually, some people are saying 12 hours. That's, some of them, but some of them lasted more. What was your pit stops like? Are they around 12 hours?
Well, what was interesting about when we came from Iceland to Belgium is that we all ran off the plane so fast and got to the train so fast, and that the producers didn't realize we would be able to hit that train so fast. So we got there before they were even ready for us. So that night, because we got there that night, but they didn't think we'd be able to catch the train until the next morning, if that makes sense.
It does make sense.
So that night, all of us had to they cleared out some old museum, and we all had to sleep on the floor there, all of us together. So it was pretty funny, so each leg varies, each stop, it really does vary. So you don't always know how long you'll be there.
That's interesting and cool at the same time. Mm-hmm. Tyler from Austin, Texas wants to know, what did you attribute the argument between you and Sarah over directions, maps, frustration? What was it?
Probably all of the above. Yeah. I think the thing that really kind of started it was we had got some directions before we left the airport, and then the twins were sitting behind us, and I heard them talking about their directions. I was looking at my directions, and they were completely different. And Sarah, was sleeping. I was trying to wake her up a little bit, but I was just okay, just let her sleep. So I took the initiative. I turned around and said, hey, I'm not trying to copy, but your directions and my directions are completely off. Like, let's kind of at least figure out who's right or whatever. And they agreed. So we went and we talked to the airline stewardess, and then she told us that we were both wrong, and told us different directions and whatnot. So when we had gotten off the plane, and I had tried to tell Sarah, but then also I was like, maybe I should just let her sleep too. She wasn't waking up. When we got off, I was like, okay, we have different directions. And so that frustrated her. And also in our clue, it said you have to follow the one, which was like highway 1, which is like the only highway, which is probably why it's called Highway 1. You have to follow Highway 1 to get to your destination. Well, there was another way, not Highway 1, that was a lot faster, but because the clue said you have to follow Highway 1, we didn't want to mess up, so we were trying to follow exactly. Whereas the other team members that got there so much faster than us, they took like the shortcut, which wasn't Highway 1, which I guess was okay, But I think it was just the frustration of being lost basically the whole time, and then her frustration with me for just the directions being changed or whatnot.
What was your opinion of the head-to-head?
I hated the head-to-head.
I think we all did.
Very okay.
And it was a male female thing too, right? I mean, that didn't.
Yes.
What's that all about?
I had to go. I know. Well, first of all, the twins and we became really close friends. So it was a bummer that we had to go against them.
Yeah.
But also what people don't realize is Sarah and I we got to our pit stop 3 hours before they got there.
Oh my. So we could have done any. Yeah, right.
We could have done any challenge.
Yeah.
We could have done any challenge. And so that was frustrating because we felt like we could have done anything in that 3-hour time frame and had gotten it, but we were forced to sit and wait for 3 hours for them to come to ultimately beat us. But I felt like I held my own for a little while. I don't know. Against a firefighter, like Marine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I felt like I held my own, but it was frustrating, and I felt like just a little like jaded.
I don't blame you. Renee from Orange County, California asked, who was the strongest team in season 30 and did the strongest team win?
The strongest team, what I would say is definitely the X Game girls. And no, they didn't win. Big Brother won. But I feel like the strongest team was definitely the X Game girls. They were ahead basically every single leg, and they're strong competitors, and they were really close. But I would say they definitely were the stronger team.
Nice. Luke from Philadelphia, PA, for those of you who don't want to cut down Philly. What happens to eliminated contestants? Where do they go? And are they sworn to secrecy?
Yes, and you don't get your phone back, So I know. You don't get your phone. They take it day one. You don't get it back until before you board the plane. But you go to sequester, and it's the most amazing, wonderful vacation experience that you will ever experience. It was awesome. We went to Rome, and they just treated you like kings and queens. We had private tours, the Vatican. We got to see all around Pompeii and all these private tours that you would never, ever, ever get to experience or afford on your own. So we were put away in a nice private villa, no one around us. It was amazing, and quite honestly, if I had to go out, I was glad I got out in the beginning because it was pretty awesome.
You got a great vacation, right?
Yeah, I did. I rather stayed on the race, obviously, but every time a team member came and we're like, what did you do? And they're like, oh, we had to shovel these fish and did it. And like, oh, we just got back from the spa. It was awesome.
Oh, that's great. Sydney from Portland asks, did you build any relationship with other racers, and are you still in contact with them today?
Yes. We did. We built really strong relationships, especially with the racers that kind of got out near the beginning, because that's who we spent most of our time with. I'd say one of my favorite racers was Cedric's boss. Like, we really formed a good bonding connection, and the twins as well, everyone, we really formed a strong relationship. The ones that we didn't form as strong of relationships were the ones that, probably the last three, just because they didn't get to enjoy sequester with us.
Right. Got it. So let's talk about post. So the thing is over. It's probably some post-production time, I guess, when that gets back. You're back though, right? You're back in the States and living life. And then all of a sudden, a month or 6 weeks later, the premiere is on. Tell us a little bit about that experience. Did they do any announcements ahead of time saying this is the next cast and do that promotion? So people say, wait a minute, April, is that you in this show? And that kind of thing. And then all of a sudden when it gets going, instant celebrity in town. Tell us a little bit about that kind of fame.
Oh, wow. Well, yeah, it was definitely pretty neat because they started promoting us. Everything is hush hush. Like, we're not even allowed to tell people that we were even on. When we obviously only like my husband and kids knew where I was going, but no one else did. It's just like, it's a month long we're gone. So it's just like I disappeared. And so even when I get back, people are asking like, oh, where have you been? And I can't even tell them, we just had to kind of make things up, honestly. Yeah. So it was pretty funny, but it was neat when people started seeing like the pre-commercials and stuff and seeing that as me, and it was cool.
That's awesome. I didn't ask this question before, but I want to ask you, in the preparation and the application and all of that stuff, is there a physical, and do you have to get shots and all of that stuff to make sure that, I imagine that right from an insurance standpoint, you got to make sure that you're healthy and good to go, right?
Yeah. As you get further on in the application, they make you do a physical. You have to get all these shots, which they actually do. And when they start narrowing it down, and when you do the final, basically interviewing process in LA, where they all take you down to there, they give you your shots and your physical and all that kind of stuff. But you still don't know if you're on the show or not.
Really?
So yeah, because I know. So they just,
I don't think I need the shot for malaria if I'm not going anywhere. I'm not sure why.
I know. So it is interesting because there's still quite a few people there that, have made it to that far in the application process who just have all their shots.
Jeez, that's amazing. So what is the biggest misconception in your mind about Amazing Race? Do you think there's any misconceptions about Amazing Race out there that you have seen or witnessed or heard about?
I would say, even in my opinion, the biggest misconception is that it is all real. Even just as a viewer, as a fan, there was part of me that was like, a little, this seems staged. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And it's not. It's all real, and some things are like, oh, they probably are just kind of, I don't know. I thought there was to be more production kind of involved, like TV magic, but it was all real, everything.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Did you become like close with the cameraman and the sound guy? Do you get to know them? I mean, they're with you, right? So it's, and is there any delay when I know everything's legal. We did a big break series with his golfers, And literally every challenge, they all had to sign a waiver that says, I agree to do these rules of this challenge. So everything is legit. So I understand that. But if you go and interact with somebody, you have to they have to sign, right? Because it's going to be on television. And does that slow things down? What if somebody says, I'm not sure, I got to have my lawyer talk to this? Do they just say, we're not using you and run away? I mean,
basically, or you become a blur in the TV.
Right.
But you and even sometimes the taxi drivers won't sign things, so they just kind of don't really show them.
Yeah.
But that definitely slows it down. Before I was going onto the race, I didn't realize that, and I was just thinking, I'll just ask. I'm not going to be lost. I'm just going to ask people where to go. But then you realize that actually takes a lot of time. So you want to try to figure out where you're going before you're just going around asking everyone. And not everyone wants to help you, we're crazy Americans running around with a camera and sound guy behind us, So, and it's funny. And even sometimes, like Sarah and I were running into, this was in Belgium when we were looking for where Sarah was going to climb the crane, and we saw the crane, so we were going to take a shortcut through a building, and they were so mad at us. They were like putting the hands over the cameras and yelling at us to get out of there. It was like a little, I don't know, hotel, museum or something important. So but they have to follow, no one's saying like, hey guys, don't go there or anything. Like, they're legit just following you around everywhere. So yeah, you do get pretty close to the crew around you.
That's cool. That's good to hear too, that's everything is on the up and up. That's cool. So April, tell everybody what you're up to today.
Today?
Yeah, well, not today, but post Amazing Race.
Well, we're still Goat Yoga is continuing to grow, which is awesome for us and our business, and we're loving it. Sarah and I are working really, really well together. We like each other. We kind of that made us actually stronger, to go through something like that together. And just taking care of goats. Actually, I will be on another reality show coming up at the end of this year. Yeah. Can't say too much about it, but I just finished filming that, and it'll be a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Thank you. Let's see. Yeah, just living life.
Could you tell us if it was filmed in the United States or elsewhere? You can't say anything.
It was filmed in the United States. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could eliminate probably Survivor then, because I don't think they're going to be in some lake in Georgia. But anyway, that's cool. That's really cool.
It was similar to Survivor, but yeah.
All right. I got it. So let me ask you this. So tell me a little bit about Goat Yoga. How did you guys create that? And I was talking briefly with April before we came on the air, and I got a chance to look at a video, and it was the sweetest thing I've ever seen. I mean, it was her son laying on the ground. I don't think it was a goat, though. I don't know animals from farm animals from anything. I take my kids on vacation, like, Dad, what kind of animal? If it's not like a zebra with spots or, whatever the zebra's got on it, or a giraffe with a long neck, I have no clue. So, but I didn't think it might have been. But he was one of the animals is laying down, and your son, who looked at the time maybe 9 or 10, lays next to him or her, and then this other goat walks over, and it's big too, folks. This wasn't like a cat. I mean, it was a big animal. Like if it laid on, like I'm thinking, please don't lay on the kid. Please don't lay on top of him. And it doesn't. It lowered very slowly down and then just kind of nudged against them like they were buddies, like they're having a sleepover. It was like the coolest thing. And I mean, look, I'm not going to say it was that sweet, but I mean, it was really sweet. I got to tell you, it was pretty cool. But anyway, tell us about what's the goal? What was the goal when you started doing this thing? What was the value to the paying public?
Well, Sarah and I, like I said, we've been friends forever. And we're always trying to think of fun, new, crazy, weird things to do, hence the Amazing Race. And Sarah does a lot of different types of yoga. She does paddleboard yoga and whatnot. And I actually was on American Ninja Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
And for the show, like I said, you either have to be good or have a good story. So I have a good story. And so for the show, I was working out with my goats and training with my goats. And so I had already been kind of working out with my goats and doing squats and push-ups. And she does yoga. And so she was like, hey, we should combine them and do goat yoga. And it was just crazy enough that it stuck.
That's so cool. And is it taking off like outside of your, I mean, I'm hearing this is now like taking off.
Yeah. It's national. It started here. We started in like 2015, and 2016 kind of started picking up. And now if you Google goat yoga, like it's just everywhere. We're goatyoga.com, but now everyone told us it was the dumbest idea in the whole world. And in their defense, it kind of was. But now it's spread across everywhere that they're like, you guys are geniuses. So, every good idea starts out with a dumb one, I guess. But
does that expansion, you guys monetize, does there come back to you in any way here financially?
No, unfortunately,
because they all could open up their own stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We tried to trademark it and things like that, but we just couldn't because the word goat was greatest of all times, and they were like, well, it could be the greatest of all time yoga, and so.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
so
I know.
Tom Brady's the one we're blaming on this.
Ruined everything. Stop.
It wasn't a big deal till you became the best football player, and I'm not necessarily.
I know. No, I know.
Anyway, that's such a cool idea, though. I mean, it really, and I could see people going, "What?" And these ladies are definitely smoking the grass on their farm instead of, raking it. But anyway, it was so cool, folks, and go to that website and check it out because it was really cool to see, and everybody smiling. I was looking at some looked like a convention, or no, it didn't look like a convention hall, but it looked like a stadium almost, a small, like a high school field. It looked like it was a football field, and and the caption said, "Trying to set the record for the most goats in the Guinness Book of World Records." I think.
Yes.
And it was like I'm watching it, and all these goats come running in, all these little baby ones, and there's big ones, and like they kept coming, and there's like kept coming. It was like, oh God.
We actually do have a couple world records, which is pretty fun. That a lot has come out of having goat yoga, so it's been a really, really neat experience. We have 150 people in every class, so it's a huge event. Every class is a huge event. So
how often are the classes?
We have classes about 3 to 4 times a week. Obviously now Corona, not so much. I mean, we're still having classes, but like once a week, and the numbers are down and everyone's spaced apart and stuff. So it's different. It's still going, but it's a different experience. But
is anybody shy of the end? Like let me give you an example. Like someone like from New York City area, city person, not really well, have a background in being around animals. I'm just giving you a complete hypothetical. And then
basically everyone that comes, yeah.
Really? I mean, are they worried about getting bit or like, I don't know. I mean, I would be worried about like, getting a bite. And that doesn't happen, does it?
No. I have the nicest, most docile goats in the whole world. And we are with them 24/7. We raise them, we bottle feed them. So they're very, very used to people. It is really fun because city people are who enjoy it the most, because where else do you get to play and interact with goats? I mean, you can go to the zoo and pet them or brush them, but you can't like have them walking around, jumping on you. And like, so it's a very unique experience. And then we've added on alpacas, which they're the funnest alpacas in the world. There's awesome photo booths. We do cow cuddling where we have a cow and you cuddle it. Like, we just have so much fun with. I have a little baby deer that's the cutest little thing in the world. We just have fun with it and keep adding the animals and just making it a different, unique experience every time.
They have cow cuddling. I used to do cow tipping. That's
I know, right?
One different place to another. I mean, I haven't done it since a couple of weeks, but I'm kidding. That's really cool. So tell me about how involved your family is in this. I see it from a bunch of the photos that your kids are all involved in, and or at least they
Mhm.
seem to have the same love for the animals that you do. Tell us a little
Oh,
bit about that.
yeah, they definitely do. Not only are they playing with them all day long, in fact, that's where they all are outside playing with the goats. But also they help during the goat yoga class. Sarah and I, I have 3 kids. Sarah has 4, and our kids are our employees.
That's
They
cool.
don't always like their bosses sometimes, but it teaches us definitely a family business, you know.
That's awesome. So really cool to hear that, and check that stuff out, folks, because that's really cool. I got the opportunity to look at it from a research standpoint last night. And what I usually do, a half hour to 45 minutes, I was like an hour and a half later going, hey man, I got to do this. It's really cool. And I'm not kidding you. It was, I would tell you, you guys know me well enough to know that I would tell you, it was really, really cool. So let me close on this, April. Tell us a little bit about something that you've learned, aside from the fact that you and Sarah will argue and still love each other and still do a business together and still have a great friendship, because that's exactly what would happen with me, with some of my friends as well. But what did you learn with your time being on Amazing Race?
Oh gosh, I feel like I learned so much about myself and so much about Sarah and our friendship and our relationship, like you were saying, and that we could just overcome hard times. It just it seems just so surreal. I don't know. It's hard to pinpoint one thing, but gosh, just learning how to navigate, the world and not being afraid of it, I
Oh,
think
that's
is
cool.
probably a big thing that I learned.
Well, you said somewhere in an interview that one of your fears was getting lost, right? I think that's what I read, was one of your fears was, I don't want to be somewhere and I'm getting lost. I don't know where I am. And that, man, you went on Amazing Race to conquer that fear, because
Oh yeah,
I think
that
you're
was
lost from the
Iceland.
get-go. I mean, that's like,
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. That was all of Iceland was lost. And I don't know, it's pretty amazing that first leg, how close it was with us, the models and the ballers,
Oh,
to
it's unbelievable.
all get on the mat at the same time.
Yeah.
When we landed on the mat, none of us knew who made it or not. We didn't even know.
By feet, right? I mean, it was that close. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
amazing.
like Sarah's toes.
Let me ask you this. Would you go back? Because Amazing Race, a lot of these shows, I know I'm doing a bunch of stuff with Survivor as well. A lot of people get asked back. A lot of people come back, and you're only, what, 3 years, 4 years away from that. What if they ask, would you jump back in this thing again, or?
Most definitely. Yeah,
I told you, folks, she's a risk taker and adventurer.
most definitely. Yeah, yeah.
That's awesome.
I would do it all over again, a billion times over. It was really fun, really good experience.
Excellent. Well, let's end it right there. I really appreciate your time. We wish you the best of luck with goat yoga. I think that's awesome. And we're going to look out for your undisclosed new reality show. We're going to have to just take a look and find out what that is and where it is, so we can watch it. And I hope to see you back on Amazing Race sometime. That would be awesome.
I hope so too. Right. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for being on the podcast. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thank you, Nick.
Thanks. Take care.